Okay, again, I just want to show you that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes left. We have to finish the mystery of her parents and Kane's parents, and Julio in that time, and then also let's not forget, like, just because we're now on Earth, let's not forget that Veritas is coming to Earth still in like a month or something. And he's looking to take over. So we have so much to deal with in that little amount of time. And I know each friggin' episode is like an hour long. So they could pull it off. I don't think I've done any side story. Hey. Where's my boy? He doesn't have a side story? Oh, no, wait, I'm wrong. It does. Gaming sessions. 3 years later. Should I do those? Anyway. Alright. The mood has changed since our return to the cabin, like there's something tangible in the air, almost suffocating. Kane still cannot be reached, so we're just twiddling our thumbs with this information on our hands. Eric doesn't know when Kane will be returning either. He's definitely gone into investigator mode, digging through everything we have on Kane's parents. Well, more specifically, his dad, Benjamin Prinz. Eok shakes his head at me. This sounds complicated, he says after I've brought him up to speed. We don't know if the information we got from this guy is reliable, but it does tie into the picture we found, I say, looking down at my own phone. The only way to confirm whether or not the information we extracted is correct is to find this person, James adds. Kane's dad, presumably the leader of Julio? I echo. That's going to be hard. I sigh heavily, wondering if it's even a good idea to tell Kane of all... I sigh heavily, wondering if it's even a good idea to tell Kane all of this when we can't know for sure. All I have going for me is this man's word, and I don't really trust someone who's a criminal. On the other hand, he was working with my parents. Does he have credibility or not? I can't be too sure. The man we interrogated could come into contact with this supposed leader. All you have to do is make sure he relays that information to you whenever they will meet again. I look at James, thinking it over. That's a pretty solid idea. If Mr. Invisible said he saw Benjamin only a couple of days ago, then it stands to reason he could see him again. And if he does, I want to know about it. But what if he won't tell us? We're not exactly on good terms with each other. I point out a hole in this plan. Yeah, especially not after you left him tied to the chair. James shrugs. Extortion? Torture if need be, Eok agrees. My eyes widen at the suggestion. We're not going to torture anyone, I stress. Extortion, blackmail, torture, whatever needs to be done to extract the information you need, James explains in a neutral tone. I groan. I know I decided to put on this suit and turn into a vigilante, but I don't want to resort to criminal tactics. This man is a criminal himself, no? Eok asks. Well, yes. Then there is no need to hold back. Use whatever you can to your advantage. I'm surprised I'm hearing Eok say all of this. I thought he didn't actively like being a pawn in Veritas' army, doing his dirty business, but he's quick to suggest using shady tactics to further my personal desires. Eok is correct. Do what you must if you want to find this man. I run a hand through my short hair with another heavy sigh. I'll think about it. I just need a break. More often than not, I catch my brother in the basement, having set up his own PC and equipment down there. Have you found anything? I ask as I stand next to him. Managed to hack into the coroner's office to dig through their files, found the death certificate of Kane's parents. DNA testing was done to confirm their IDs, he says with a sigh. So that means Benjamin did die in that fire. It means the death certificate says so. Eric points at the screen, which has the 2 certificates next to each other. This one is for Kelly Prinz, and this one is for Benjamin Prinz, he explains. What about our parents? I ask as I scan over the information. Eric pulls up the documents of our parents. Same thing, died in a fire. DNA testing confirmed it. For all intents and purposes, Benjamin Prinz died in that fire. The death certificate confirms it. Yeah, but I'm sure these things can be faked, especially by somebody powerful. As I glance between the documents, I notice something off. Hey, these were all done on the same day, no? I ask, noting the date of each document. Makes sense, same fire after all. Better to pump them all out at once, says Eric with a shrug. This one, I say and tap my finger on Benjamin's document. It's different. Eric narrows his eyes at the screen. How so? All the information is the same, even the signature. It's not, see? This one's in black ink. The other 3 documents are written with a blue pen, but Benjamin's document was written in black. Maybe they just forgot to scan it in color? Who knows? Maybe he ran out of ink. Eric starts to justify. Really, we have information that Benjamin could be alive and a leader of Julio of all things, and you want to dismiss that his death certificate could potentially be forged, I hiss. Eric crosses his arms and huffs. I don't trust that guy. He could be lying, you know? I get that, but... I look at the old CRT monitor. Why have Benjamin's picture locked behind an encryption? Even Eric doesn't have an answer to that. And that betrayal comment. What if Benjamin had something to do with our parents' deaths? Ugh, I just wish Kane was here. It feels so wrong to talk about this when he doesn't have a clue. Eric groans. Do you know when he's coming back? Kane's been missing in action for several days now. He usually doesn't keep any contact with us during his missions. Beats me. I just know that they needed him, specifically. Eric, A sigh escapes me. I want to take them down, I announce. Eric gives me a cold look, like he knows exactly what I'm talking about. You think I haven't fantasized about it either, for years now. I know we're supposed to be thinking about the upcoming invasion, but I can't help but want to deal with Julio as well. I want to eradicate the entire criminal organization. Definitely sounding like a vigilante there, Eric quips. I smirk at him. I think I found a taste for it. It's dangerous, though. That's why you'll help me, right? Eric rolls his eyes. As if I could let you do everything alone. No way. And here you were fussing over me visiting Mr. Invisible today, I tease him. Can you blame me? You're not exactly superhero material. He balls his hands into fists, glaring at the monitor. But if we have a shot at taking down Julio, then I say anything goes. That's the little brother I know. No more fussing about keeping me safe. We've already passed that threshold. Kane will join us too. He better, especially if the information we've gotten turns out to be the truth. There's no way he would ignore it. He'd tear down the entire city to find his dad. Let's hope he doesn't go on a true rampage, Eric grumbles. All of this is giving me a headache, I complain. Can't sleep well either, huh? He asks, quirking an eyebrow at me. Not at all. My muscles are also aching, so it's hard to find any good position to sleep in as well. I stretch out my arm, rubbing my shoulder. Get some rest. We have to wait till Kane gets back to do anything either way, Eric suggests. I ruffle his hair. Don't forget you need sleep too. Don't stay all holed up in here. He grins back at me. If I could become a hermit for life, I totally would. Please don't, I say, shaking my head. I eventually leave Eric alone in the basement. Getting some rest is the furthest thing on my mind right now. I'm way too pumped with adrenaline. My hands are raised to protect my face. I dodge an incoming attack from James and easily sidestep him. He had no qualms about resuming our training when I asked if he wanted to continue. It's kept my mind off of things. I only need to think about the next punch to dodge. James advances on me and throws another hook. I step backwards and raise my hand to deflect his arm. A sharp pain stings in my shoulder and I wince in pain, halting my movement. James stops and resumes his normal position, looking at my shoulder. What happened? He asks. I rub my shoulder, feeling the muscles ache in response. I think I pulled a muscle. James gives me a long and silent glance as I wiggle my shoulder, trying to find some relief. Where does it hurt? He asks. I stumble. Right around here? I circle my finger around the affected area. You must not have warmed up enough, he says with a click of his tongue. This is the result. I blink at him with dead eyes, not in the mood to be chastised by him. A good massage can help out the kinks. Turn around. My jaw almost drops open. He wants to massage it. The idea seems almost ludicrous. I don't think that's necessary, I start awkwardly. The quicker you feel better, the faster we can resume training. Now stop complaining and remove your garb, he repeats in a stern tone. You want me to strip? I ask, my eyes widening. What kind of massage is he thinking of? Just the top. It is harder to reach the muscles when you're wearing that. I hold my arms together and look around. We're alone at least, but I'm not wearing anything besides a bra underneath my supersuit. Are you trying... Good one. Are you trying to seduce me this time around? I ask, genuinely curious. James's eyes widen and he bites down on his bottom lip. Of course not, he responds immediately, a little too hot-headed. Well, you're always going off on how I'm supposedly seducing you, but now you're the one telling me to undress. For perfectly legitimate reasons, he huffs. Or you just want to see me naked? James stuttered, now at a loss. It's fun seeing him get all tongue-twisted just because he's the one being accused of trying to seduce. Forget I said anything, he grumbles. Oh no, I want you to do it. I turn around with a smile and unzip the front part of my supersuit. I rid myself of the upper part, now standing only in my bra and pants. I nearly flinch when his large hands land on both of my shoulders. Did that hurt you? He asks, actually sounding worried. I clear my throat. No, you just surprised me, that's all. Your muscles may be undeveloped, but you do have them. They appear very similar to my own, he says as his hand starts kneading into my skin. I expect a lot more force behind it, but he's being surprisingly gentle about it. Probably because he's worried if he hurts me, well, that would be disastrous. James has already been very careful not to hurt me during training. His attacks are always slow and telegraphed. I'm so unfamiliar with his touch that it's making the hairs on the back of my neck raise. It's an odd reaction. Massaging them helps the blood flow to them faster, enabling a quicker recovery. Relax your shoulders. I slump my shoulders and try to relax, leaning into his hands, which are working my skin, lightly rubbing around the affected area. I crack my neck in tune with his rhythm, feeling slightly better. The pain is still there, but James is definitely helping to alleviate it. This is why you must always stretch and warm up before doing any kind of training. You always sound like an instruction manual when handing out massages, I ask. James exerts more force as his hands press into my skin. I do not give out many massages, he responds. Lucky me then, I chuckle. James removes his hands from my shoulders and I nearly whine in disappointment. It was starting to feel good. You are mocking me, he states. What? No, it's actually helping. Please continue. With a small huff, I can feel his calloused hands return to my shoulders. They stroke across my bare skin and I start to relax again. I roll my shoulders against his hands, which are warm and actually very pleasing. Who knew James could give good massages? Or any, for that matter. You know, your touch has gotten a lot softer, I mention. Don't insult him. Softer, he repeats, continuing the tender massage. Before, just grabbing me by my wrist would hurt me. I got bruises from that too. I didn't realize how fragile earthlings could be, he defends himself. I have since adjusted my strength around you. I can't help but smile. I've definitely noticed he's restrained himself. Thanks, I appreciate it. James says nothing as he continues to work out some knots in my shoulders. This went from easing the pain on one side to a full-on massage. Not that I'm complaining. He can do me any day. Is that better? He asks after a while. Much, actually, I say, smiling brightly. The warmth of his hands leaves my body. Good, let's continue. I turn around to face him with a whine. Hey, I was enjoying that. It wasn't meant to be enjoyed, he replies coolly. Can't stop me. I mumble under my breath as I reach for my supersuit on the grass. I quickly dress myself again and wince slightly as I do. Seems my muscle still aches. Can we take a break? Continue tomorrow? I suggest. James glances at my shoulder, then closes his eyes. Very well. Get some rest. I smile at him, bowing out. Don't take too long out here, I warn him. Get some rest too. That was so, close to being on the precipice of a moment. You know what I mean? More of a moment. It's time to relax and I feel like watching a movie. Perhaps I can convince James and Eok to join me. They've probably never seen a movie in their life. Okay, Eok's there, so it's not going to be a moment. Never mind. Eok's already sitting on the couch, having just finished his own training, or he might excuse himself. Hey, Eok, would you want to watch a movie? I ask him. A what? He asks, confused. It's entertainment, I say with a huge grin. Still not getting it, Eok just chuckles nervously. All right, I finished my training regimen today, so I'm free. Where's James? I ask. Probably still training in the forest. I'll go get him then. I open the door to greet the night sky. Following the beep on my phone that's showing where James is located, I quietly reach an opening where he's busy delivering swift kicks to the air. I came to get you, I announce myself. James stops kicking the air and turns to me, brushing away some sweat from his forehead. It seems he removed his top during training, probably because it was getting too sweaty with it on. The act of seeing him all sweaty and half naked, catching his breath, makes me avert my eyes from him. It's a sensual sight, and I don't know how to feel about looking at James in that way. Get me? He echoes my words. I do not need a chaperone. I'm just making sure you do not get lost, I say, trying to bite back a grin. I do not get. Please, I know you have trouble getting out of this forest. I quickly cut him off, knowing exactly what he was going to say. James shuffles on his feet and huffs loudly. I'm perfectly fine. All right, come with me, I say cheerfully, cutting him off again. I wasn't finished yet, he growls. Don't you want to bathe and eat? Look at you, you're sweating all over, I say. James pushes back his sweaty hair and exhales loudly. I suppose I can call it early today, he grumbles. Great! I'll make you some dinner while you take a shower, then we can watch a movie together. He raises his eyebrows. A movie? He asks, just like Eok. You'll see, I say, smiling secretly at him. James grabs the top part of his suit and follows me as I start to walk. A small source of light floats in front of me, startling me. Oh, I say in surprise. Look, it's a firefly. The small insect glows on and off, then flies away. Firefly? Asks James, following the insect with his eyes. Oh, we had a TV show on my planet that was called that. Yeah, the season for them must have started. Harmless insects. When they're trying to find a mate, they glow, I explain. Firefly season has always been my favourite at the lake. Certain nights there would be a swarm of them. It's making me feel nostalgic. As several more fireflies start to whiz by us, all glowing majestically, James asks a question. If they all glow to find a mate, how do they know which one is the most compatible? I stop to think. I'm not exactly a scientist in this area of expertise. I don't know. I guess they keep trying until they randomly find one? Seems terribly insufficient, he remarks. Well, how do you find one? I ask offhandedly. Are you asking me how I find a mate? Yes. I can feel his eyes burn a hole in my back. There is a way, he answers. What does it have to do with his heartbeat? The soft rustle of the leaves from the trees masks his forlorn voice, but there is no one alive besides my siblings. I feel slightly guilty for asking, knowing that his entire culture has been basically wiped out. What about interspecies relationships? I ask, thinking that's entirely possible. What about it? He grunts. I mean, Heliobilius looks similar to you, I tease him. That is disgusting. His face pulls into a scowl, that no-good, insolent, bloodhead pest. I giggle at his description of Bilius. They really don't get along. You have put a wretched image in my head, and will need to be punished for that. What? It was just a suggestion. I mean, you thought Eok and I were a thing. Tomorrow you'll run 10 laps back and forth to the house as a warm-up, he decides. You are so unfair, I complain with a whine. He walks past me without a word, remaining silent this time around. Still, the thought of James not having anyone does feel a little lonely. After stuffing myself with dinner, taking a nice shower and putting on some pajamas, I'm ready for movie night. I strut towards the couch, holding 2 bowls of popcorn in my hands. Oh, I smell something, says Eok as he sniffs the air. I made popcorn, I say as I hand one of the bowls to him. This one is yours, it's salty, I say with a smile. Then I dump the other bowl in James's lap. And sweet for you. James doesn't look amused. What are you plotting? He asks, narrowing his eyes at me. To have a movie night? These are snacks while we watch. Relax, sit back, enjoy yourself. I then sit down in between the both of them on the couch, wearing a huge smile. This is such a mundane activity, and I'm doing it with James and Eok of all people. Eric had politely declined my offer to watch a romance movie. Oh well, his loss. Oh, James is gonna learn some things. I grab the remote from the coffee table and turn on the TV. Since I've been gone, lots of new titles have been released. One of them I've been looking forward to for a while. It's a Korean movie. Great, so they're gonna have to read in English, or unless their translator translates it for them. How is your shoulder? James asks me out of the blue. Surprised he's concerned about it still, I answer politely. Doing much better, actually. I guess all I needed was some rest and a good massage, I say with a smile. Massage, huh? Eok says while happily munching on the popcorn. James gives him a dirty look and Eok doesn't question it further. These are very crunchy, Eok says excitedly. I browse through the available titles on Yetflix, eventually finding the one I'm looking for. The movie starts to play. Glad to hear you like them, I say. Then I turn towards James. Have you tried them yet? James stares at the bowl of fluffy popcorn with a skeptical eye. I swipe a piece of popcorn from the top layer and cheekily offer it in front of James's mouth. Open up! I do not need to be fed like an infant, he complains, turning away from my hand. Alright, how about you work for it instead? I say, leaning back into the couch. What? Here, catch, I say, and I toss the popcorn up in the air. James motionlessly watches the popcorn fall on his lap. He didn't even make an attempt. I pout at him. Guess you can't catch food with your mouth, I say, shrugging. Try me, Eok says eagerly, mouth already open. I take a piece from his bowl and toss it into the air towards him. Eok snaps it out of the air with a triumphant smirk. I clap my hands in response. Nice one. Suddenly, James thrusts the bowl into my lap. I just wasn't prepared. Toss it again, he huffs. I grin at him, briefly wondering if I should tease him for being jealous that Eok caught it and he didn't, but decide against it. Okay, here goes, I say, and toss another piece into the air. James moves only the slightest bit forward and tears the popcorn right out of the air. He angrily munches on it with a sense of superiority. Captain James, that was amazing! Eok cheers him on. An angry glare from James makes him cower, and I lean back into the couch, keeping quiet. These are too crunchy, James complains. Well, you don't have to eat them if you don't like them, I say, hugging the bowl to my body. James's hand plunges into the bowl and he grabs a handful of popcorn, stuffing it into his mouth. He chews on them for a bit and swallows. I didn't say I wouldn't eat them, he says nonchalantly. All right, but don't eat them all. I want some too. Then I return my attention towards the screen. The movie has just finished going through a long intro. When the cast starts to speak and the subtitles appear on the screen, I'm baffled by the fact that I can completely understand what they're saying. I can understand Korean! Wow, this fucking thing in your ear is amazing. Can everyone have one? James and Eok look at me oddly. Are they not speaking the same language as you? Asks Eok. I giggle awkwardly and shake my head. It's the babblefish, isn't it? I ask sheepishly, totally forgetting that I even had this device in my ear. We can understand it too, says Eok. It's so strange. I can hear them speaking Korean, but my brain is automatically translating it to English for me, I say in awe. Why do you sound so impressed? You've been hearing us talk a language other than your own as well this entire time, James points out. I know, but for some reason I didn't stop to think it could mean I could understand other languages on my planet as well. They sound different from you, Eok mentions. It's a different language, I explain. It's so cool that I don't need subtitles anymore. So, Valkii, what are we looking at? Eok asks after a minute of runtime has passed. A movie. It's entertainment. People act out a story, and this story is about two countries who are at war with each other. Oh my god, what coincidental. But then a regular woman accidentally ends up in another country, even though it's forbidden, and she meets a soldier from there. Oh my god, this is, fuck. No, I don't need to go to Netflix. It's on Netflix, though, I'm pretty sure. I just need to go to My Drama. Oh my god, this is so bright. My Drama list. Did I put it in my favorite dramas? I did not. I probably meant to, though. I'm sorry. I know this is stupid. I don't go here very often, so I don't know how to actually go to my lists. No. Give me a second. Right. Crash Landing on You. That's what it is. Crash Landing on You. After getting into a paragliding accident, South Korean heiress crashes in North Korea. There she meets a North Korean army officer who agrees to help her return to South Korea. Despite the tension between their countries, the two of them start falling for each other. My god, this show... It had me in my feels. I was crying. It's a good one, but it's not a movie. It's a TV show. They might have made a movie for it as well. I don't know actually. Maybe I'll just quickly look because sometimes they do that. They like make a condensed version. There's a compilation. See, they usually do that. All right. Oh, it's a play, says Eok. A romance one at that, I say with a smile. The woman and soldier are supposed to fall in love. James suddenly grunts in response, folding his arms across his chest, clearly showing his disapproval. Nonsense. Fraternizing with the enemy will have both your heads roll. How foolish of them. Let's just watch. Maybe you'll change your mind. No ulterior motives here, Valkii? As the movie continues, the woman accidentally manages to get stuck in the enemy country. This is Crash Landing on You. I know you, writer. I know you. I see you. It's not a movie, but I guess you couldn't be like, hey, let's start watching a 16-episode Korean drama that are all like each an hour long. She is immediately found out by the border control and she flees for her life. This is Crash Landing on You. The leader of the soldiers manages to apprehend her, thinking she's a spy from the other country. As they scale the mountainous area to transfer the woman to be questioned and interrogated at the bureau, the leader suddenly falls off the edge. The woman saves his life by holding onto his lifeline and helps him get back to safety. Because of this, the man hesitates sending her to be questioned because they would most certainly kill her. She begs for his help to send her back to her country. The man relents, and together with his troop, this is also true, like, he has a little troop of guys, and they all want to help her. They concoct various... I haven't watched this in like 2 years, maybe, by the way, so I'm going off of memory here. They concoct various ways to smuggle her back inside of her own country without being caught by Border Patrol. James finally speaks up after the man was caught by other authorities and was jailed. This is idiocy. Why would he ever risk his life for someone who, by all means, is supposed to be his enemy? He questions loudly. Eok, whose eyes have been glued to the screen, looks down at his bowl and whines when he realizes it's empty. He doesn't speak, though. No, he's too engrossed in the movie. Because he doesn't see her as the enemy. Never has, I explain. Or at least that's what it seems like. That doesn't explain why he would willingly go through such ordeals to get her back to her own country, risking his life for that of hers. I shrug. Maybe it conflicts with his own morals. Maybe he's started to fall for her. I can see why he would do these things. Not to mention I have done these things myself. I risked my life for Nornus, Eok, and even James by putting myself smack dab in the middle of conflict. They're supposed to be my enemy, but it's not that black and white anymore. I can totally sympathize with the male lead. Foolishness, James grumbles under his breath as he grabs another handful of popcorn from the bowl. The movie continues as the woman manages to escape the country, but the man is being held in jail. Racked with guilt, the woman cannot stand to leave things like this and turns away at the border, refusing to go back home. She wants to free the man. Together with his troop, they come up with a plan to bust him out of the prison. I really thought they were going to do the scene of her running to the border and, like, him being like, don't do it, don't cross the border, like, you're gonna get in trouble, but she's like crying and she's running and then he goes to her instead. Oh, it's so fucking sad. The man is freed and reunited with the woman. He calls her stupid for not going back to her country despite everyone risking their lives for her. She explains there's no way she could leave him behind like this, locked up in jail because of her. She then kisses him. I think they kissed before that point, but yeah. So it's heavily influenced by Crash Landing on You, I would assume. James and Eok both lean back into the couch, eyes wide in shock. I'm such a sucker for romance, but I totally forgot that these two don't really do well with seeing people kiss. It's a movie and it's fake, but still, I guess it's too real for them. Humans are very free, Eok remarks awkwardly. Why does it feel like instead of watching a chaste kiss, I'm viewing porn with them? Yeah, like, South Korean movies are generally, like, you're not gonna see full-on making out. Generally. You won't really see that. There's so many South Korean movies that piss me off because, there'll be a kiss scene, but the girl will, like, have her lips, like, pressed tight together and her eyes are just wide and it's like, girl... I hate those kisses in those types of things. I know it's such a staple though, isn't it? They're just happy to see each other, I try to explain with a lopsided smile. It's how we express our feelings. Yes, earthling mating rituals are very frisky, says James, giving me a side eye. Well, when was your land taken over? Like, did you even get sex ed? I don't know. He's thinking of the ear situation, isn't he? He was supposed to pretend that never happened. The kissing scene felt like it dragged on for way too long, with multiple repeats and different angles. Why do they do this in Korean dramas? It just made it even more embarrassing. They do that with the music playing in the background. Ooh, another angle, another angle. Eventually, the movie continues, and instead of returning to her own country, the man and woman defect and escape to a third country together. Now they can live in peace without being enemies of each other, and that's what they do. Didn't the main character in Crash Landing on You... Oh, this is not going to reach the right people who have watched this TV show, but didn't the main characters actually get married in real life? Aren't they together in real life? That's so cute. It's actually a very beautiful story. It is, and it also takes, like... Let me look at that episode count. 16 episodes with each duration 1 hour 25 minutes. So each one is like, that's probably with advertisements in between though. I really enjoyed that, I say, feeling touched with tears streaming down my face because it's sad sometimes. It's very sad. Idealistic delusions, James remarks gruffly. Bro, I'm getting so tired of this. Can we get to the point where there's actually romance? This is such like a romance... like, depleted. It's just gone. There's just no romance in this one. She's trying. Valkii is trying. She's like, hey, look at this romantic movie. Ooh, come watch it with me. Oh, it's coincidentally about our exact situation. This is crazy. Anything? Any feelings? No? Idealistic delusions? Okay. Okay, this is a lost cause. Let's just find out the mystery behind Julios and let's beat back Veritas and then say sayonara to the fucking everybody. Apart from Eok. Eok can stay. Eok would never. Eok would never. Oh, come on. You don't think they had a beautiful love story? I whine. It was very gripping. I wanted them to escape and be free, says Eok. Running from your responsibilities will solve nothing. He gave up his life for her. James cuts in. Yes, isn't it beautiful? I say cheerfully. She gave up her life for him as well, by the way. She was an heiress. She was super rich. She wanted to do her own thing. And she was very successful, so... Beautifully moronic, he replies. Really, you think it's moronic to give up your life for someone? Because I'm sure you were doing that for your sister, I point out. That's... He shuts his own mouth as he thinks it over. That's family. I wouldn't do so for anyone else. Prince James is ready to sacrifice himself even for someone who isn't family, says Eok with a small chuckle. James whips his head towards Eok, fixing him with a very deadly stare. I would not, he rejects the idea, I would not risk my life for someone else. Didn't you bargain for my life in front of Lord Veritas? I tilt my head towards him. That was pretty risky, was it not? Prince James would never have done that before, says Eok, grinning at James, but he's changed. Stop yapping your mouth. I haven't changed a bit. Don't be ridiculous, he huffs. Prince James also came back to get me when we went to the market, Eok chuckles. That's right, I had to beg him to go back for you, I say. Thank you for your concern, Valkii. I appreciate it, even though I was perfectly safe, he says sheepishly. I guess he's right. He was the one involved in the attack. I didn't know it back then, so I pleaded with James to pick up Eok as I was concerned for him. I guess so. I feel silly for being so worried for you now. What a waste of time it was to retrieve you. James sighs loudly. Should have left you there. Eok leans in closer to me. Prince James has grown softer since your arrival, he whispers in my ear. I blink at him. He has. I echo, feeling myself grow warm at the suggestion. James groans as he gets up from the couch, fed up with the conversation. I'm not going to sit here and listen to your conspiracy theories about me. I'm leaving. He takes large strides around the couch before knocking Eok on the back of his head. You shut your mouth hole, you cretin. I have not gone soft, he hisses. Eok rubs the back of his head with a small whine, his brows drooping low. Don't hit Eok. Be nicer, I warn James. I barely used any strength, James complains as he walks away. See? Soft, Eok laughs. As James struts away, I hold back a giggle. It's been 5 months since I first met James, and I can tell he's a much different person now. After all, earlier today he admitted he adjusts his strength around me to make sure he doesn't hurt me. It's not just because of the oath, though of course it plays a part. When he was administrating the medicine to me, he was careful and gentle. To think he's kidnapped me, thrown me into a cell, even killed someone in front of me, and yet here we are, handing out massages, training me, backing me up during my selfish mission to confront Mr. Invisible. Eok's right, he's changed. And so have I. Hey, Eok, I call out to him. Yes? You've changed too, you know, I say, nudging him with my elbow. I have, he replies, unsure. You've become much braver, even standing up against James. Oh, Eok hangs his head, a red spot appearing on his head. Your Macoette must have given me strength. I will never regret giving him my Macoette. I would never give it to fucking James at that point because it makes no sense. But I do wonder... I'm not going back to check, but I do wonder if it's forced to give it to Eok. Because everyone else you try to give it to will reject it and be like, oh no, give it to someone else. Because, like, I didn't try that. I went straight for Eok. I didn't try anyone else because nobody else made sense. Eok didn't seem to have one. But it literally makes the most sense to give it to Eok. He's the one with your back, like, pretty much 100%. And nobody else gave him one. But I like that choice has rippled into further choices, like James being like, oh, but you gave him your Macoette. Like, I liked that. But also I don't know if that's because that's the mandatory decision and everyone else rejects you, so you have to give it to someone and it ends up going to Eok. I don't know. I could be giving props where there are no props to give. I giggle in return, maybe. He casts his eye downwards, still smiling. I might check that out, actually. I'm really curious. Thank you, Valkii. No problem. Hey, do you want to watch more movies with me? Hey, there's this thing called a show. Shows are different from movies and Korean shows. are usually 16 episodes long, with each episode being over an hour long. You want to watch one with me? This takes 16 hours. Eok's smile grows wider. Yes, please. Eok and I spend the rest of the night watching movies together. You want to watch Signal? Signal's good. There, I end up tying the last ribbon on the tree nearest to the cabin. Oh, there. I end up blah, blah, blah. Knowing James gets lost quite easily, I decided to leave him a trail of breadcrumbs in the form of ribbons tied around tree branches. In between each ribbon is my thread, which is held up high in all the other trees. It leads all the way to the open clearing he usually trains at. As long as he finds one of the ribbons, he should be able to follow them without getting lost. Now I don't have to keep fetching him anymore. He can find his own way back. I place my hands on my hips and smile at my own work. I almost debated writing down a note, but quickly realized neither James nor Eok can read human language. Ribbons it is. Oh, this is bad. This is the bad music. A day later, and Kane has finally resurfaced. He said he's got something to tell us, but so do we. Eric and I wait for Kane to finally appear at the cabin. Sometime in the morning, he arrives. I guide him into the kitchen. The air feels thick with tension. The past 2 days, I've been trying to distract myself from this conversation, watching movies with James and Eok, or doing some training with James. Anything to keep me forgetting about the possibility that Kane's dad is alive and Julio's leader. Something to drink? I ask. Kane sits down at the bar stool and sighs with a heavy heart. Yes, please. Kane, he's got something to tell you too. Eric starts in a serious tone. Look, before you say anything, I've got something way more important to tell you. He cuts off. As I place a beverage in front of Kane, he quickly takes a drink from it and slams it onto the counter. I know I'm under NDA and all that shit, superheroes code, but I can't stay silent. Not when I know this is something we caused. Sorry, we? I echo. Kane, if you're under NDA, telling us could land you in serious trouble, Eric warns him. Eric, we're not exactly law-abiding citizens either, I have to add. We've gone the vigilante route. We're not exactly in the right place to start lecturing Kane on following the rules. I don't care. This is big. It involves Forrester Inc. and Julio, Kane stresses. Eric and I finally shut up and simply listen to Kane. I was sent on a mission to retrieve a stolen item. It had to specifically be me because I'm immune to it, Kane grumbles. Immune to what? Electricity. Oh, your bracelet. I tilt my head to the side. The one James is wearing? It was stolen, Eric shrieks. Way worse than that. It wasn't just stolen. They engineered it in such a way they could replicate the exact wavelength of my powers. They don't need a bracelet anymore to stop someone from using their ability. My heart starts to sink and I feel myself take in a breath. Kane's eyes gloss over as he stares straight out in front of him like he's been through a lot. Guys, Julio found a way to use Eric's bracelet to strip supers of their powers. For good. No way, I gasp. But how? Eric stutters. I mean, how is that even possible? I don't know. They got a hold of the blueprints you gave to Forrester Inc. They weaponized it. Several supers were already sent out to clear the mission, but all of them came back without the use of their ability. Kane runs his hands through his mane of red hair, clearly shook at the situation. I got the original blueprints back, but it didn't matter. They were already mass-producing it. We helped create a weapon that gets rid of abilities. Guys, what the fuck? I don't know what to say. This feels like I've been slammed by reality. Eric's bracelet stolen and reproduced as a weapon that strips supers of their abilities. That makes Julio the most powerful faction in the world. It's exactly what they want, to rid all of the supers in the world, so only normies will remain. How the hell did Forrester Inc. let those blueprints fall into Julio's hands? Eric demands to know. I'm gonna raise hell about this. I'm quick to shush him. Don't. They'd know Kane told us. You know how many supers face financial ruin because they broke their NDA. We have to do something to hold them accountable, he says with a huff. Doesn't matter if you do or not, guys. Julio's got the ability to rid the world of supers for good. That's the way bigger issue here, Kane cuts in. He looks at me with sad eyes. You and me, we could be next. The pit of my stomach tightens, leaving me feeling heavy and dark. Then we need to make sure we destroy whatever copy they have of Eric's blueprints, I announce. Wait, what do you mean we? Kane questionably narrows his eyes. They already have a team of supers on the case, you know. Kane, we have some bad news to tell you as well. I start sinisterly. Well, that's not the word you maybe should have used there. Sinisterly. Eric and I explained to Kane what we found in my parents' basement. The picture of Benjamin meeting up with Mr. Invisible, finding out that the leader of Julio is Kane's supposedly dead father. As expected, Kane doesn't take it well. I don't fucking believe you, he barks at us. Trust me, Kane, I don't want to believe it either. Eric immediately agrees, but there might be a kernel of truth in it. That's Super, the guy who told you about this. Let me see him. I'll question him myself, Kane insists. I'm not going to stop you. I don't believe it myself 100% either, but all the evidence we've collected so far is not looking good, I say. No way Dad is still alive and happens to be the leader of Julio. There's just no chance in hell. Kane vehemently shakes his head, refusing to accept it. We didn't exactly have a good relationship. He was often working and he didn't really pay any attention to me, but Julio? Really? I don't know what to say either. Is it true? It's possible, but also highly improbable. Then again, I never thought my own parents were vigilantes of all things. I can't imagine what Kane is going through, having to confront the fact your father is alive and actively working for a terrorist organization. I think we need to consider it seriously, I speak up. Are you for real? My dad? Kane stresses with a growl. I found out my parents were vigilantes. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility at this moment, Kane. Valkii has a point. I'd like to believe it's just a stupid ruse, but the picture left behind on the PC does add some credibility to it, says Eric, backing me up. I want to see that piece of scum. Let's go. Guess we'll be dropping by Mr. Invisible again. What a mess. He hasn't left that apartment. As we're all geared up and ready to leave, it is James that meets us at the front. He seems to have used the ribbons I left behind for him, which makes me smile. Leaving? He asks in his own language, checking out our suits. What do you want? Kane demands to know. We're going back to that invisible super to get some more information, I explain. James tilts his head to the side and gives a disapproving glare when he looks at Kane. Perhaps it's best if I came along as well. A little surprised he'd offer to come, I shake my head. No, that's okay. I've got Kane with me. Mr. Invisible didn't seem much of a threat last time. Does he want to come along? Kane turns to me. Why? Well, he came with me last time. We interrogated the super. Interrogated? You're well on your way to being a vigilante, says Kane, sounding impressed. Kane, I am one, I correct him. Never thought I'd see the day, but I thought if it would happen, you'd have one of these. Kane takes out his superhero ID, flashing it to the both of us. Regardless, we'll be leaving now, I tell James. Remember your training, James warns me. Don't let yourself get caught. I smile at him, nodding. I won't. Come on, let's go. Kane starts walking towards his motorcycle. You better not die, he says gruffly. I grin at him slyly, seeing through his tough ruse. It's cute how you're worried. A flash of surprise graces his face. James coughs and shuffles his feet on the spot. I am not worried, he stresses, eyes flickering away from me. I chuckle. I'll be fine. I wave at James and get on the back of the motorcycle with Kane. Off we go. Kane gives me a weird look after seeing the state of the front door. It's been taped up and has wood planks nailed in certain areas to reinforce it. All in all, it's definitely still the same door James kicked in. We had to kick it in, I say with a shrug. Seems he hasn't replaced it. So do we knock, or do you want me to kick it in as well? Asks Kane, a bit unsure. I hum, wondering this myself. Kick my door in again and you're dead, says a voice behind us. Kane and I whirl around to see Mr. Invisible's grumpy face. He gives Kane a once-over. Bringing Voltage along, I see. Am I going to get tortured again? He asks casually. Kane, not the most patient person in the world, steps closer to Mr. Invisible and grabs him by his shirt, glaring at him. We're here for answers, he hisses. Torture it is, Mr. Invisible huffs. Can't you guys just fuck off and let me be? Kane throws him up against the broken front door. I heard some of your delusional conspiracies, he growls. Voltage, let's not, do this where everyone can see us, I warn him. You heard the lady, Mr. Invisible chuckles. Kane charges a swift kick against the door, causing Mr. Invisible to panic and run out of the way. The door breaks down and falls backwards. You motherf... Before he can finish his curse word, Kane's already pushed him inside. I hurry up afterwards. Can we go to the next chapter, please? This is insane. This is almost an hour long. After awkwardly placing the broken door back into its frame again, Kane and I confront the man in his living room. Is this going to be a normal occurrence now? Should I just move? He complains. You said Benjamin Prince is alive. What proof do you have? Kane demands to know immediately. Mr. Invisible cocks his head to the side, clearly confused. Who? He asks. I don't think he knows of Benjamin's real name. The leader of Julio, I explained. The picture you showed us, the man's name is Benjamin Prince. Oh, he's starting to understand. I don't know his real name. People call him Boss or Bossman. What about him? When's the last time you saw him? Kane asks through gritted teeth, clearly still not believing his father is alive. You know what? I'm not telling you shit anymore. You come here, break down my door twice, demanding to know about some stupid Benjamin, and I'm supposed to throw myself down to my knees in front of you like a lapdog? He shakes his head and crosses his arms. No way. Get lost. You worked with my parents. Why can't you work with us? I ask. Hey, you were the one to tell me they were dead. Excuse me if I don't want to end up just like them. Kane raises his hand, electricity buzzing between his fingers. Watcher it is, he says darkly. Mr. Invisible yelps and steps back, suddenly becoming completely invisible. He's about to run off. No, you won't, I warn him and quickly shoot out a thread to where I can hear his presence. I manage to wrap my thread around his waist, keeping him in place. I can feel him struggle as I wrap him up real tight so he can't escape. You and your annoying fucking web, he complains, trying to break free. Voltage here wants to torture you for answers, but I think we can come to an agreement. No? I speak up. What agreement? He mumbles, still remaining invisible. I have to bargain with him somehow. I don't particularly feel like torturing someone just to get information from him, or make him do something against his will. Then what can I offer him and make him work with us? He worked with my parents. He wanted out of Julio. Do you still want out? I question him. What's that supposed to mean? You said you worked with my parents as an informer, in turn for getting a new identity. What if I could do the same thing for you? Kane shoots me a weird look, knowing I'm talking out of my ass. But Mr. Invisible reveals himself again and he looks at me with skeptical blue eyes. You're lying. He's not wrong on that one. I'm grasping at straws. However, I think I can convince him either way. Why is Dimitri the only one who is not here? I miss him. I have some high-up connections. I could make you disappear just like you wanted to. All we need is your inside information about Julio, I say in a serious voice. We need to know where Benjamin is, Kane joins in, or any proof that he is in fact alive. The man doesn't leave his house without a flock of supers around him. How am I supposed to give you proof? He snaps at us. They use you for your invisibility to spy on others, but you can't figure out how to do the same thing with them, I ask, quirking an eyebrow at him. There's no way that Bilius is Benjamin, right? Because she would recognize him. Video recording, says Kane, and he has to be in clear view. And then what? He grumbles, still struggling against my thread. Then I'll see what I can do about getting you a new identity, I answer. I dissolve my thread around his body, freeing him. I'll send you a new phone number you can reach me at. I expect to see a video of proof of life within the next few days. Days? I don't know when I'll have the opportunity to meet him again, he whines. Don't worry, I think you'll be seeing him soon, I say, shrugging. If whatever Kane told us was true, then Julio is up to something massive, and there's no way they wouldn't use all their cronies involved. Come on, let's go, I tell Kane. 1 sec, he says, and turns to Mr. Invisible. He gives him a small zap with electricity, causing him to yell out in surprise. What the hell, man? That's payback for hurting her at the warehouse last time, says Kane casually. I pull on Kane's arm so he leaves the apartment with me. This isn't your route, so you don't need to do this. This is James's job. After returning to the cabin with Kane, I'm greeted by everyone. Eok is waving at me, James seems to be leaning against the porch railing, and Eric emerges from the front door. Oh. Valkii, you've returned! Where did you go? Asks Eok, not realizing I left. I went back to that invisible super to question him some more, I tell him. Seems you came back in one piece, James observes quietly. There wasn't any need for violence, so we're okay. Valkii told him to send proof that my dad is still alive. I doubt we'll get it, but whatever, says Kane as he kicks the dirt. Then he snorts loudly, remembering something. She did, however, make him believe we're going to help him get out of Julio and give him a new identity. Really, Valkii? Eric groans. I feel myself shrink a little. Why did you say that? We're not going to help out some guy who works for Julio. I don't want to help him out either, I argue back, but we needed information, so I lied a little and made him think he can break ties with Julio. What if he actually gives us proof and you don't deliver on your promise? Asks Kane. I mean, he works for Julio. I don't particularly care what happens to him, I say flippantly. We have to use what we can. Eok is the only one to respond to me this time, looking a little conflicted. Valkii, this is the man that attacked you before? That's right. Why should I give any sympathy to the man? You even told me to use torture if it was necessary. You say he wants out. What does that mean? He's a low-level criminal that fell in with the wrong crowd. Now he works for the terrorists. He says he wants out, but can't without a new identity, I explain. I know I'm an outsider in all this, but Valkii, why wouldn't you help him? It sounds like he is stuck and wants to quit. For a second, I'm a little dumbstruck to hear Eok come in to defend Mr. Invisible of all people. He's a criminal who works for Julio. Didn't you tell me to do whatever I must in the first place? If I had to lie a little to get him to work with us, it's fine. I defend myself. Eok looks quite disappointed. If he is working for this organization but wants out, it's a bit different. I have done countless crimes myself. Even though I was part of the resistance, I still had to maintain my duties in Lord Veritas' army. I swallow and stay quiet as his words echo in my mind. Why do you give me a pass, but not him? James flashes a smirk at Eok. Pointing out her hypocrisy, are we? I'm impressed you'd speak your mind against her, given how fond you are of the little earthling. I'm not a hypocrite. I bite back. You are a little bit. It's different with Eok. He's not a bad person. Okay, so Alex is a bad person. Mr. Invisible is a bad person. But, like, he also shouldn't be being blackmailed for, like, 8 years or whatever into doing Julio's bidding. Seems to me you like to pick and choose who to help, James notes with an ever-growing smirk. So much for your morals of wanting to help out anyone if you can. I can feel the blood rush to my face as his words cut through me like a knife. First, let's see if he's got any proof my dad's alive. Kane interjects. Then we can worry about the super. I try to compose myself a little, feeling betrayed by them ganging up on me. Fine, I say gruffly. Am I really a hypocrite for not sympathizing with the enemy? Well, yeah, it's a little bit out of character, honestly. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.